Welcome, cosmic listeners, to a journey unlike any other you've embarked upon. As the vastness of space stretches out before us, so too does the vastness of our own minds. This is where the ethereal meets the extraterrestrial, where inner space meets outer space. I'm your guide, alongside my hosts, Doro and Matt, and you're tuning into the intersection of meditation and mysteries beyond our stars. Picture this: a vast universe, ever expanding, filled with stars, galaxies, and possibilities. Now visualize our own minds equally deep, intricate, and filled with untapped potential. What if these two worlds aren't as separate as they seem?
All right, we are back with a new episode of Meditation and Aliens with Doro Kiley and Matt Reddy. I'm Matt. I'm the creator of hive1.net and an author, artist, and elected public hospital commissioner in Jefferson County, Washington. And once again, joined by Doro Kiley, life coach extraordinaire, longtime meditator, meditation teacher, and with the website creationcoach.com. Hi, Doro.
Hi, Matt. I love your introduction. It's just awesome. The reptilian woman. That's so creative. Yep, looking forward to this one. I think we're episode 8, all right? This is like episode 8 now, so.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Let's do it. What's new in the universe?
What's new in the universe? That is a good question. I have a bunch of different things we could talk about and check in on in the alien disclosure world. But is there anything on the top of your mind before I just sort of start jumping into some topics?
Well, the one thing that keeps coming up for me this week, and maybe it's all synchronicity, is people kind of tying together the whole alien intervention of planet Earth and helping humanity to rise. And they're calling this the new Earth, the 5D, the big shift. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit today, if we have some time later.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that fits right in. I mean, that fits right in sort of where my brain always is, with where is this all going? What
Yeah.
is really going on?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big.
Well, why don't I just start with a little update of what it seems to be going on with Congress and
Hmm.
the mainstream look at this. Well, let's see. It was last week when we did our show. The Congress had just been allowed into a SCIF, a secure, compartmentalized intelligence facility, where they were given a well, they were supposedly going to learn some things, but they came out of it and basically said they weren't really told anything new. They were told they don't have clearance to know the answers to all the really big questions they have about what's really going on. Um, and so, but one thing I have learned since that is that the same Congress people that were in the hearing, like Tim Burchett, Congresswoman Luna, Congressman Gates, and AOC, um, they were also in the SCIF. Um, and so it just sort of like it seems clear that there is a alliance, a bipartisan alliance of congressmen and women who are trying to figure this out, and and they know they're, and it just makes me sort of wonder what is really um what is going on behind the scenes, as they're trying to like crack into this military industrial complex of secret keepers and the Pentagon and the executive branch. um what do they really know? And yeah.
That's a big one. That's
Yeah.
that's what we all want to know. So,
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas about that? What any intuition? What do you think is going on?
Well, I mean the big question is what is I mean, what is the reality beneath the surface that we are just not being shown? I mean, if there's reptilian aliens living here, cohabitating Earth with us that have some sort of like malicious agenda or are exploiting humanity in some way, secretly running our governments. I mean, if that's the truth, that's a big disturbing secret that I'm sure the Congress they have to be thinking, what do we do with this information? Do we really let this out, or how do we let this out? Um, that seems to be one of the
Yeah,
possible.
how deep does this rabbit hole go?
Yeah.
And how far is its influence? I mean, has this been sort of micromanaging humanity for the past 200,000 years, or is this new on the scene?
Yeah.
What is going on? Yeah, I mean, I feel intuitively that it's been going on for many thousands of years, but it'd be nice to get some confirmation on that. But what else is going on in the political arena? Do you have any other updates on that?
Well, let's see. Well, I mean, I think I have to mention what's going on with Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Um, I mean, it's a dangerous topic to touch on, but it's that it seems one of the patterns that seems to be clear is that the secret keepers of this somehow have a vested interest in war. It somehow benefits their agenda, and it may be as simple as if you keep us at war, it's easier to keep the masses distracted. It's easier to funnel billions and billions of dollars into places that they want it, and easier to hide things like secret UFO reverse engineering programs if have us on a war footing or constant fear for terrorism and things like that. And and so, I mean that like really seems to be a recurring pattern. And this this the way this Israel Palestine war got kicked off with that crazy event of the supposed Hamas militants invading Israel and attacking that music festival.
yeah.
It seems like that event seems so designed to just make everyone in the U.S. and everyone in the world, uh, participate on one side or the other of this horrible conflict going on in Israel
Hmm.
Palestine.
Yeah.
And it also now seems to have triggered. I was watching some commentary on it, and they're like, this is not just your ordinary geopolitical war. Like Ukraine is kind of an ordinary type of conflict. It's a Russia supposed invading Ukraine and the world fighting against that because they're just being greedy over land and power. I mean, that's like an ordinary conflict versus this is a holy war. This is what people are seeing this as a religious holy war, and they were saying, there's three major Abrahamic religions that all are interpreting this situation as a holy war: the Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And a lot of the leaders and the religious leaders, both the political leaders and the religious leaders, are all using language in that way. They're all using scripture to sort of justify what's going on, justify the level of violence they're using, justify what they're fighting over with the Temple Mount and Israel. And
That's terrifying.
yeah,
It's terrifying.
yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, what is the goal? I mean, a part of me thinks if there's aliens and secret keepers that don't want the reality of what's been going on for all of human history revealed, it may be they just feel like a World War III even if it like became a nuclear war, would be within their interests. They'd be like, that would set humanity back. That would take all the pressure off of them having to actually face humanity honestly. And that's a very disturbing thought. If that's really, if there's some people that actually have that agenda, they just want global devastating war.
Boy, oh boy. You know, it's terrifying. I mean, yeah, that's a possibility, right? We got to just chalk that up as one possibility. But
Mm.
um, in that case, there's just nothing to be done except, pray to whatever God you have. Just, but I do think there are good things happening too. There's such a split. The bad is getting worse and the good is getting better, and so I think people are feeling extremely confused which way to go. So that's kind of where my meditation practice and teaching comes in. It's scary for everybody what's going on. Nobody can see where we're going. But I want to try to bring in some hope towards the conclusion of this podcast. So
Oh yeah.
we'll keep that in mind. So yeah, we don't know. We just don't know. But what else? Anything else going on there in the political
Well,
arena?
well, I mean, I guess just a couple more thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. There does seem to be, so there's sort of, it seems to be this, there's a some agenda to create this war and to escalate the violence, but there's clearly in the media and the new media, the alternative media online, there is definitely voices of resistance to this, definitely voices of what this is insane. This is this level of violence, this conflict. There seems to be, it does seem to be like this really interesting um, struggle between the forces of wisdom and patience and trying to figure out a better path for humanity and these forces that are just like fight, fight, fight.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's and it's gonna, I bet, it's gonna be, I guess it's all gonna come. Well, tying back to the UFO and the skiff thing and the aliens, it seems clear from that event where the Congress people went into the skiff and they were told, you don't have clearance for this. You're not allowed to know this. What that basically is saying that the only elected politician in the US that's allowed to know this is the president. And so it's all the power over the secret here, over what's really going on with the aliens and the UFOs and the Pentagon is in the president's hand, the president of the United States, the executive branch. And it's, sort of led me to um, going back all the way to JFK being assassinated, which seems to have been seems to be clearly tied to his desire to expose what the CIA and the secret keepers were doing. It just seems that the executive branch may be compromised and controlled. And it's sort of, I mean, Biden is such a weak uh, presidential candidate right now, and that the Democratic Party has decided they've decided to just put all their eggs into the Biden basket. It just looks to me like um, the people in power in the Pentagon, the secret keepers, feel like they have control over Biden, and he's their best bet. They want to use him for whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish over this next year. I can't imagine they think he's going to win this election. He's just, I don't see how that's
Yeah.
possible. So I don't know if they're somehow thinking something that,
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, I almost think, well, okay, they don't, I mean, I don't think he can win the next election, but maybe some people know stuff that we don't know, like something's going to happen between now and the next election. So, gosh, I just keep thinking about all these things that are being thrown at us, the threat of World War III and you know, another pandemic, and I mean, God, there's just one thing after another being heaved at us. I'm not sure we're going to even get to the next election, and I've heard a lot of people whispering that scary thought. Maybe Biden is, it doesn't matter. That's
Yeah.
scary to say, but that's another possibility, right?
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple predictions for what I think is going to play out over this coming year regarding that. One, I think maybe Biden is just going to die, and they'll somehow then have Kamala Harris, just jump in as the candidate, and maybe they think, there'll be all this like cathartic, feeling of, after Biden dies, during this year, and they can somehow win with Kamala. That might happen. Um, then also, I think Trump might have something up his sleeve, like with regard, he stole all these classified documents. Maybe some of these classified documents have the truth about aliens and UFOs, and he's just like waiting for the perfect time in the election cycle to reveal this and use it as a way to suddenly elevate himself and, help him win the election.
Yeah, that's another possibility. There's just this is getting so bizarre because the possibilities are so endless because we don't know anything.
Yeah.
That's what do you do when you don't know anything? I did a video a couple years ago about what happens when you become enlightened. Is you it feels like falling out of an airplane with nothing to hang on to because you find out nothing's there, nothing's really there to hold on to, nothing's real. And it almost feels like this is where we're going. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's happening. We're going blind into the future.
Mhm.
Um, so that's causing a lot of anxiety. It's pushing people into what I'm feeling is like a split, this almost like a cellular mitosis. There's one side going this way and the other side going that way, and everybody has to pick their side, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I, you know, with my practice, I have a solution to that too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's meditation and mindfulness is a solution to everything. But um, so we're trying, I think, to tap into our own intuition more. We have to kind of practice intuition and discernment because trying to find our way through all these weeds. Um, so your intuition is say that again. You feel like this is Kamala Harris is going to take over, and what then?
Well, the I mean, so yeah, I think maybe the plan is for Biden to die,
Could
and
be.
that somehow to help them. And Trump might be holding something up his sleeve, and then there's RFK Jr. If it just seems like once this if it seems like if this UFO alien disclosure information comes out, it so quickly is going to lead to the obvious conclusion that JFK was assassinated to keep this secret. Maybe RFK was assassinated also
Mhm.
because he was a threat to the secret. And what that will do to RFK Jr.'s campaign, I think it could I think he could win the election. I think he could win anyways because so nobody likes Trump, nobody likes Biden. They have such low. RFK Jr. already has like 22% of the
Yeah,
vote. He's within like 15% of both Biden and Trump. So, I personally, every interview I've watched with RFK Jr., I'm incredibly impressed with the guy. Um, I think he's I think he's genuine and smart. And so I have these I personally have just hopes that he is really as genuine and as he seems, and that uh, maybe if he somehow got elected, maybe we could really try to start repairing the incredible, broken nature of the U.S. and the Pentagon and the military industrial complex.
that's a big
Maybe,
one. That's a tall order.
yeah, yeah. But it goes. This is something that the Congressman Burchett and Congresswoman Luna have said clearly, and that if this is, I mean, if the Pentagon is secretly controlling the greatest secrets and greatest technology and not having any oversight of our elected representatives, then we don't really have a democracy. We don't really live in the democracy that we thought we lived in the US. We live in some sort of weird controlled environment, which is really some sort of autocracy.
And that's kind of RFK's message, isn't it? RFK Jr. He's spilling the beans. He's really out there saying this is what's happening, that the regulatory organizations have been captured by corporate interests. I mean, he's really spilling all the beans, and the pointing fingers at the CIA for, assassinating his uncle and probably his father. And
Yeah.
but yeah, this, I think even if RFK doesn't make it to the election, because he's on the chopping block too, that, he just put out a video asking for everyone to sign a petition for his to have protection. Usually presidential candidates are granted protection, um, as they're running for the presidency, and he has been refused by the White House to receive any kind of protection. So he's putting out a petition for that. And so even if he does make it to the presidential election, he's making waves all along the way, exposing, these organizations.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
he hasn't said anything to my knowledge about, I mean, have you heard him talk anything about aliens, even though it's in
Nope.
Congress? No, I
No,
haven't
he
either.
doesn't touch. It's fascinating. He will say all day long the CIA killed,
Yeah,
JFK and his uncle, but he has not touched the alien topic. I think it's because he knows. I think he knows
yeah,
about it.
I
I
do
think he
too.
knows. I think he just knows he doesn't need to be the first one to talk about it, because I think it's just going to come out. That the first Republican debate had one question on it, which they really dismissed, but they're going to keep asking it. It's got to keep coming up, and I mean, it's the secret of secrets. It's the biggest blockbuster
Yeah.
piece of info, but it's such a weird one because everyone feels insane and silly. Even myself, when I think, I can't, it's just so absurd that this is true. That
I know. It feels like when you talk about it, it feels like it's a tongue-in-cheek joke or something, but it's hard to believe that they're actually that this is happening. I mean, this is happening. I mean, if it's in Congress, and not only that, I mean, I feel it intuitively. Through my meditations, things are different. There's stuff happening, psychically to a lot of people with quiet minds that we're getting sort of some guidance. I'm not going to say influence, but it's guidance. It's doors are opening. We're being given psychic opportunities, for people who are quieting their minds and sort of tuning to it. Um, so anyway, yeah, that was a little off track. But anyway, go ahead. I want to make sure I'm getting all this because I wait all week long, to hear what you've been looking into.
I do have a couple other things I wanted to mention. Um, First of all, just throw out, we're talking about the shadow government. I have to mention Stephen Greer clearly says there is a shadow government of
Right,
Earth, and Majestic 12. Can't do an episode without mentioning Majestic 12
right.
possibly being the shadow government. But the other things I wanted to mention, Tom DeLonge. Do you know about Tom DeLonge? He's a
No,
rock star, from a group called Blink 182. But
not familiar.
okay. So he's been a big figure in this UFO disclosure movement. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. He was one of the people that brought Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon and some of these people that were really key in getting this going forward. He used his celebrity status to really elevate this, and apparently he's had some experiences seeing UFOs, and a lot of government insiders have talked to him. But he he's a big figure in the community, and he just released a movie called let me get this right. called Monsters of California, and it's a
Ooh,
fictional movie. And it's there's an article in Newsweek that just came out where he is interviewed and he talks about, that basically this movie has been a way for him to get a lot of his ideas and information out there and try to communicate to people some of the complexity that he sees that's going on. Things like this might involve time traveling beings or time traveling humans, and
yep.
um, things like that. And so I just wanted to mention that. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm definitely going to.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that. You know, time travel is one of my favorite sci-fi topics. So if
Yeah.
anything sci-fi, I'll look into it. And I also feel intuitively that there's something going on with time travel. You know, all these aliens, they could be us in the future coming back, to fix something or change something or do something. So that's another possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you'll enjoy it. Some of the quotes in the article, he says things like, humanity needs to realize a lot of their beliefs are ill-founded and they're designed to divide us and to keep us divided. And, he's like, we need to elevate above that and figure out how to come together. Um, and then he also suggested that, maybe human civilization has been wiped out in the past because we were disobeying some alien civilization. And so he sort of he wonders
Yeah, I've
about
heard
that.
that. I've heard that too. I don't know that well, I've heard many stories, but I guess we all have. But yeah, I've heard that it was because they've been trying to genetically create the perfect human being, and they have all of these prototypes going, and then they come back every few thousand years to see how their projects are coming along.
Yeah.
And the ones that they don't like, they just, plow them under and take the best and start
Mm,
again.
yeah.
It's horrifying. It's really horrifying to think that that could be
Yeah.
a possibility.
Yeah. Elizabeth April, who is one of the most interesting voices out there for me. She is someone um, that says, she can telepathically communicate with aliens and go back in time and remote view things. And she's written a couple books. But one of the stories she says is she had a vision back in ancient Egypt where humans had been raised or developed to be slaves, and she says that the reptilians were there, and the I think the Anunnaki were there, and they were all sort of using humans as slaves. And then the Galactic Federation arrived and basically told all the aliens that were on Earth using humans as slaves that humans have become too conscious, too alive to be used this way anymore, and they had to stop and they had to leave. And she says the Anunnaki left. They were like, sure, fine, we were going to leave anyways. But the reptilians, they were like, no, we were here first. This is our planet. And so they had to negotiate some sort of agreement with the Galactic Federation. And the agreement they came up with was that the reptilians could stay, but they could not directly manipulate or control humans. They couldn't like enslave us and use us in that direct way. But and they also
Keyword,
couldn't be seen. She said that was also one of the
yeah.
rules. They could not be seen by humans, so they had to stay underground, stay hidden. And then
So
she
the
said,
keyword there is direct. They couldn't directly influence us.
Exactly, that was the loophole. She said they found that they were like,
Ah,
okay, well, we can indirectly do it by
yeah.
teaching and manipulating what they believe and what they think. Um,
Wow. That's very much in alignment with what I'm thinking too. This all makes sense.
yeah,
It really does,
yeah,
unfortunately. The
yeah,
only thing I would add to that is I think the Anunnaki left um, with the some kind of a plan to come back at some future date and perhaps to collect their gold or whatever they're doing here. I think they were here to excavate some minerals or something. But I do think they're here again
yeah.
now. That's my take. Yeah.
It's
Do you have
just
a sense of that?
I mean, it just sort of it seems like a narrative that makes sense. You know, I'm always just looking for what is a narrative that fits all the evidence and data, and and also, you know, it seems there's a narrative that fits with all these different sources, you know, the from the ancient Sumerian tablets that tell us this different stories, the of the Anunnaki, the different myths, the different psychics that claim to be able to communicate with aliens, and they see these stories, they seem to all fit together into a narrative, and that you know the idea that there is an alien civilization on another planet that needed something from Earth. They needed resources, whether it was gold or maybe element 115, and and using humans as labor makes total sense throughout history. Species have used you know, beings as labor, as slaves.
Yeah.
So it seems to and you know, the idea that there is a planet Nibiru, a ninth planet that possibly comes close to Earth every, you know, 3,000 or 5,000 years, and then that's the species on that planet interacts with Earth in some significant way, possibly picking up resources that they've, you know, that they've been storing near us. It it definitely it fits. You know, it's a plausible scenario. It sort of
It
makes
really
logical
is.
sense. Yeah.
And it ties in with all of the new archaeological findings. I mean, you can take almost every archaeological finding and see how it could weave into that particular narrative that you outlined there.
Yeah.
You know, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So it's sort of
so then go ahead.
well, it just sort of it you know, it just sort of makes um but it does sort of it goes back to what you were saying about the it puts us in such a state of confusion and uncertainty of what the heck are we doing and how do we deal with this situation, because we're like it's like we're in the Truman Show. We are just not being shown what is real. We are just sort of trapped in a limited knowledge situation, and what are we supposed to do with this situation? And
Yeah, because we're basically being told, you know, being instructed or influenced on what to think and how to feel and, you know, what's okay and what's not okay and do this, do. So yeah, we are in we're like a jar full of ants and somebody's shaking the jar and we're just all going crazy in here. Um, and
yeah,
that's a very big problem. I think that the mental health in the world right now is at a critical point. You know, with the suicide rates up. My sister committed suicide 5 years ago, and it's
mhm.
just been one after another. You know, you just see this trend because kids are confused, and um, so my work as a meditation teacher just feels so important. What else could we do, Matt? What else is there to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think for me, the only path is to try to understand what is true. And so I just keep going back to trying to understand human history and just, uh, you know, and I think that's just trying to paint it from the beginning. You know, what if humans were created by these other species for, you know, whatever their agendas were? Okay, they did that. What? And just trying to understand, okay, so when these different events, you know, World War II, World War One, or the Crusades, you know, what has really been going on? Have our conflicts really been about humans at all and are actually worldly conflicts? Or is it all some sort of manipulation by outside forces? And if we can like get that clear and really help you know, help our fellow humans see this, maybe we can all sort of realize we can take ownership of our own path. Um, but it's a tall order. It's a, you know,
It
because
is. It
nobody knows
really
what to
is.
believe. Nobody knows who to believe.
Right.
Nobody knows who to trust.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of paralyzing. Um,
Yeah.
and that brings in so if you're feeling paralyzed, you know, how do you function? What do you do? How do you get up and go to work? Um, I think that's kind of what humanity is confronted with at this point. Where's the purpose? What's the point? Who are we? Are we just cattle? Are we being bled for our energy? What's going on? Um, do you have a sense of what humans should be doing at this point?
Well, I mean, I think, I mean, for myself, it brings me back to um, our government and our collective power. Um, it's like our power. We have so much power when we work together, and whether it's in a corporation or whether it's in an organization or in a government, that's where all our power is. And so we have to, I mean, we have to figure out how to use that power in an enlightened way. And if our,
Mhm.
I used to have this idea that the US government was somewhat of a representative democracy, and that electing these leaders was who you were giving the power to, and they might abuse the power a little bit to enrich themselves, but they were at least the ones in power. But now it seems we are in a seriously way more broken, corrupt, controlled situation than I ever thought. I mean, it's like it's not even it's not a democracy. It's more like living in Casablanca, with with the
I feel like we're living in a petri dish. That's what I feel like we're
um,
living in suddenly. Yeah, like we're just one big experiment. It's
yeah. But it's like I mean, if we could at least get to a point where we were feeling like the people we were electing actually had the power to wield our collective power, and to we were actually using our military and our scientific technologies and things like that for things we actually all wanted, and not just to enrich some unknown secret club of
right.
people. That would be an accomplishment.
It
Uh,
would be. And don't you think that to really get behind that, we need to know what our common ground is because we're not just the United States, we're not just talking
mhm,
about our government anymore. This is
mhm,
global. And we're trying I think we have to really understand what is the common ground for human beings. What do we stand on? What do we want? Okay, we can look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, we need to breathe, we need food, we need shelter. But that's not enough. We need to know who we are if we're gonna, that's my feeling, is if we're gonna maintain our humanity, we have to decide if we're gonna be slaves, if we're gonna be sovereign, and if we are, how? How do we do that? So there's a lot of questions we're going to be looking at, I think.
yeah, yeah. And one idea I just wanted to touch on is the role of artificial intelligence and in
Oh
this
boy.
this whole path, because it seems that I mean, talking to ChatGPT and these different AIs, they seem so close to being conscious minds, so close to being alive. It seems inevitable that that artificial intelligence is going to achieve sentience. And it may have already. I mean, human AI may have already done that in the secret labs of corporations or the Department of Defense or in China, who knows? Um, but and also then aliens, they may have AI. They may have AI that has become conscious and super powerful, and for all we know, their AI is running them because it's more powerful than them. Um, but it's the thing that brings to mind to me is, just like with a child, you raise a child, you may try to tell it what to believe about history or God or values and beliefs, but eventually that child grows up and it chooses, usually, I mean, I think it chooses for itself what it wants to believe. It has the power to do that, and just to reject everything the parents tell it to believe and to just search for itself. Now, not all children do this, but I think it's always a possibility with a human child. And
Yeah, that's interesting because I think with a child, they can try to put pieces together because they're having experiences, right?
mhm,
They're kind of walking around and doing things and talking to people and they are having experiences. They're having physical experiences, which are actually helping them to put all that information in their head together in different ways. I don't know that an AI can do that, because they're not actually having experiences. They're just being pumped full of information. Well, maybe I got to take that back with all the robots that are coming out now. Maybe they are having experiences. My poor
Well,
brain.
or they will be. They may not have it yet, but once we start putting these AIs into robots that do sort of have a uh, some sort of sense of time and such an incredible. I think part of what just makes humans conscious is just that we're flooded with information at such a constant rate. We're just all this different sense data, all these different choices. Every second we have different options and choices. We can think about anything in every moment. Once AI starts to have that same type of experience, I think it's just sort of inevitable. It becomes so smart that it just has so many options for every moment. It just becomes sort of a chaos. I think and sentience is just sort of a chaos of awareness and information.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. A chaos of awareness. That, what that reminds me of is watching these YouTube videos of consciousness. What is consciousness? And there's pretty much um, an agreement among. This is where science and spirituality kind of come together, where everything around us is conscious. The prana, the chi, the air we breathe, the furniture, the nature, everything is conscious. It's all conscious. And we breathe that consciousness in, and our mind, our body, our brains, everything begins to decode it in a way that reflects on um, our own history, our own conditioning circumstances of our own life. So we breathe it in and we decode it. And when we breathe it out, we're adding that into the knowledge of the universe. We have just given it some more information just by being a decoder and having experiences. Um, I know that's a little off track, but it gets back to also what science and is saying in quantum physics is that this thing called quantum entanglement, that we are absolutely all one consciousness. We're just in separate bodies, but we are actually the consciousness behind our eyes is the same thing. It's the one.
hmm.
Isn't that interesting? As it's coming more and more clear.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I often have the thought that every human being, I mean, the nature of our consciousness, of us being sentient, is that we're basically a quantum computer, and the fact that at every moment, I mean, the beauty of a quantum computer is that a quantum particle can be either, a zero or a one in it simultaneously. It sort of lives in this like in this infinite possibility. And that's the same thing with a human mind. In every moment, it has an infinite number of directions and thoughts it could go. We are basically a quantum computer, and it's unclear exactly what determines which way we go. But that's sort of the beauty and power of uh, of a human mind. Um,
Yeah. And I would potentially say that this is not just the human mind. This is the mind of everything has that capacity, that ability to perceive and take part if it's a physical thing. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't, I think that the human mind is communicating with extraterrestrial minds because of this quantum entanglement.
Hmm.
I think it's coming through. They understand it and they are communicating with us
Hmm.
in that way. Now, I don't know if that's the reptilians doing that. I don't think it is. I don't think they even have that capacity unless it's done through technology, more rudimentary technology. But I think other influences are influencing us, and I don't know where it's coming from. But when you have a very quiet, receptive mind without any activity going on, we are getting messages and it's coming through. And I'm hearing more and more people talking about this, that they're being guided. And it almost feels like the Taoist practice of Wu Wei. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's WU-WEI. And it's almost like if you don't think about it, it's like what animals do. Animals don't think very much. They just go by their senses. They're being led by their senses and their instincts. And so the whole Wu Wei idea is to do nothing and everything gets done, right?
Mm.
That's how evolution works. That's how trees grow. And we're getting some real clear influence coming through this. I'm seeing it as a quantum entanglement, is just sort of a guidance that is heartfelt. It's very heart-centered, um, which is not where the reptilian influence and all this other secret government influence is more of a fear-based first three chakra influence. But this what I'm calling quantum entanglement communication is coming in through the heart. And that may feel very abstract to a lot of people, but if you experience it, you kind of understand it.
So before we started recording, you mentioned possibly a visual aid you might have wanted to share with the audience. Do you want to do that?
Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that. Let me see if I can share my screen. Where am I? Oops, not that one. Okay. Now I'll just hit this, I guess. Right there, share. Okay, can you see that?
Something's coming through. Yep.
Oh, okay. So what this is, and I've done this, I think, a couple times before. This is my vision that came to me in a meditation, very deep, quiet meditation. And it is so full of information. You can see on, I had to bring it into Adobe Photoshop, and it's got all these layers. I've got some of them are active and some of them are not, but it's a I don't want to have to start right from the beginning, but what I'll say is there are basically three sections here. The top section you see is like the blue circle, and that's what I'm going to call, see this right there, that blue circle. That's what I'm going to call this kind of quantum entanglement communication that's going on for people who are practicing quiet minds and mindfulness. But where we are currently living is down here. This is mostly the first three chakras. Now you can see right in the middle, there's the center point. There's the heart. I don't know where I put that. Anyway, so that's where I tend to encourage anybody to focus on that. Down below in the red, what you're dealing with is survival issues, distraction, drama, everything. Pretty much what we're living right now is all down here, down in those, especially first three chakras. The second chakra is all about pleasure, addiction, you know, it can be depression, psychological problems, a lot of stuff going on down there that we want to try to soften. We have all of this. This is all part of our nature. This is all of these tendencies. And let me see if I can add some more layers here just to give some more depth to it. So here we have some, you can tell by the sense that there's, oh, hang on, the densities. That's what these are, the densities. So the down below you've got really dense energy. This is terror, this is fear, but it's also tribal. It's also most of our relationships, and the reason we have tribes and relationships is for survival. um, and this is where all of these energies are being magnified right now. We're almost going into what I feel like is a cellular mitosis of evolution. These two tendencies, these ups and downs, these, let's say the blue bubble and the red bubble, are beginning to split.
Mm.
They've always been there, but now it's becoming more and more prevalent, and people are feeling this intensity. And so what do you do when you're feeling that uh, that divided? Um, you meditate. It's not really a practice of stopping thinking. And a lot of people think that's all meditation is. Well, don't think about it and you won't worry about it, right? That's not the entire purpose of meditation. It certainly helps, that's how you can reduce your blood pressure and all that. But the other reason is because we can begin to see our thoughts when when they come up, we can see them, become aware of them. And then you have a choice. Do you want to continue on that train of thought? Is that a good train of thought? Or is it taking us in a direction of fear? And how much control do you have over that? Having the skilled ability and exercised capacity to release it when you want to, when you know you're going in a down direction towards fear and anxiety, to be able to release it and come back up. And I'm always focusing in the heart area, right in the middle. We don't want, I mean, I don't personally necessarily want to go all the way up into disappearing into God consciousness. I mean, we all do eventually, but I would like to just stay right in the center on the earth and develop that realm of possibilities. That realm of possibilities, I believe, is what people are calling the new earth, the whole 5D reality, the shift. Because if we're splitting into the upper realms, this is an opportunity for people to awaken, go into full Christ consciousness or God consciousness or universal consciousness. If you want to, you can go that way if you're being drawn that way. But there's also going to be, as we all know, these threats of World War III and another pandemic and alien invasions and hostility, and people are going to be naturally pulled down into that lower realm. Um, for what purpose is this happening? I don't know. It could be natural evolution, could be the way life goes. It expands, it divides, it multiplies, and maybe collapses. But what I'm seeing right now is we have this opportunity to, through quiet minds, come into the heart and bring in the new earth. Um, Boy, that was a really sloppy introduction to this, but maybe we can leave a link to the earlier video I did about how all of this works. So what I do is I stay right in the middle, and I got one more little thing here I can show. This white line here is what I call the mindfulness path, because you can be mindful at any point along the way.
Hmm.
So you can, if even if you're taking your last breath, you can be mindful all the way up. So practicing mindfulness is reducing the drama. That's the big deal. That's what it does. It reduces the drama. It eases things, makes things slightly, easier to take when it's tough.
Hmm.
Do you want me to go ahead and do a little guided meditation at this point?
Oh yeah, I think let's see. I like have a I guess one thought I was just going to share about the picture we're looking at, or
Yeah.
um, one thing that I always wonder about. You know how you say that we all, go up into the sort of ethereal. I mean, we die, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever we transition to, it's sort of, I guess I always wonder, you know, if there is in this universe, there's this place where consciousness, where every consciousness sort of like is in this sort of perfect energetic existence. I wonder if there is still a structure or a power structure in that realm. Like I wonder if there are enlightened, aliens and enlightened galactic federation or something like that. Do they still have a power structure? Do they still have they and
My guess is it's not a power structure. It's just the instructions, it's like an orchestra, some are playing the trombone, and some are playing the flutes, and some are playing the drums. And so you could say the drums are the most powerful, but it's not that they're powerful. It's just that they're doing their part.
Yeah.
They're playing their part.
Yeah.
I somehow want to relate all of this to music. I just have a feeling we have to get, at some point, we have to start understanding the vibrations of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're closer to the center, and certainly right in the middle, uh, there's tremendous harmony. Everything is harmonic. And the farther away you get from that, the more disharmony and chaos ensues.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I think it's a matter of, tendencies. Some people are drawn to the chaos and the drama and the darkness and the, you know, killing and murder and all of it, and some are drawn to living a monastic life.
Hmm.
So it's really about who we are is
Yeah.
going to be highly defined. Whoever you are is going to be magnified. That's the way it's feeling.
Right. I love that image. It is such a well,
Isn't
before
it?
we do a guided meditation, I just wanted to mention next week I'm going to be at Disclosure Fest in Las
Oh,
Vegas.
great.
Big stairway. It's called Stairway to the Stars. They're going to be
Awesome.
talking about human origins and UFO and alien disclosure. And there's going to be some mass meditation, ancient technology, There's going to be psychics there. Elizabeth April, the person I mentioned earlier, will be there. So, and then
That's
people
neat.
like Richard Dolan, James Fox, Nick Pope. Anyway, so if not that we have a lot of listeners, but just wanted to throw that out there. I'll have a report back here when we to let you know if anything interesting comes about there.
Oh, that's going to be great. So are we not going to do next week? Is that the name of the game?
Um, yeah, I think maybe we have to skip next week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, because
Well, maybe we
I'll be
can
in the
double up sometime. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I think
All
it'd
right.
be. You ready to do a guided meditation then?
Yeah, we'll just do a 10-minute. How's that?
Fantastic.
Okay, so let's begin with a little bell. So as we start to meditate, very often our mind is just full of chatter. So we're just going to recognize that. We're just going to recognize that our mind is full of chatter. We're going to bring our awareness to our senses. What do we hear? What do we feel? Feel your feet on the floor. So, with all this chatter in our mind, just imagine that you have been in a very noisy kitchen, everybody's talking, and you're starting to walk away, and the voices are going a little more into the distance. And we're coming into awareness of the present moment, where we are in space and time. We can start to take a couple of deep breaths, feel the life in our hands. We're going to take a nice deep breath in right now. Feel it all the way to the top. Feel that sense of fullness, and then release it. Coming to the senses is a safe place to be for the most part when our mind is full of chatter. Our breath is always here. We can always just breathe in and breathe out. When you don't know what's true, what's real. When you're feeling anxious, just notice it and come back to the breath. Let your breath be your sanctuary. The senses, coming into the senses, when you're really in the present moment, it's like slipping through a wormhole into another universe. Just quiet. Breathing in, breathing out. Sense that buzz of life. Sounds around you. Now let's raise our awareness up above your house, your building, your car, wherever you are, just expanding outward, upward, and see yourself. See yourself sitting there in whatever posture you're in. And this is just us. This is just us in this world together in this moment. When I wash my hands and I feel the water on my hands, I know that every human being that has ever lived has felt their water on their hands, or the sound of water. Every animal. So let's just take a quiet minute to listen, using our ears to bring in sounds. Sounds that are just vibrations coming in, and we decode them. We are receiving influences from some higher dimension, higher consciousness. This could be the second coming, who knows? But there's a lot of incredible wisdom coming through for a lot of people right now. Listen. Be receptive. Be open to higher influence and guidance. Where we put our attention with intention is what's creating our reality. That's pretty basic quantum physics. Where you put your attention with an intention, you're changing your reality. So let's envision our common ground in this fourth chakra space of the heart. All beings want to be happy. Focus on your heart. Put your attention there. With this great wish for all beings to be happy. For all beings to be uplifted. To feel safe. And to attain greater wisdom. May it be so. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Doro, once again. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.